be with you, and we'll be starting the event in a couple minutes. We're just waiting for a few more people to call in. Thanks. I think we're ready to start, so good day, everyone. Welcome to the Energy and Natural Resources Working Group, one of the 5 working groups of the 4th meeting of the Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council, the KCBC. My name is Norman Storm. I'm the chairman of the Kazakhstan chapter of CERBA, the Canada-Eurasia-Russia Business Association, as well as the general director of Falcon Oil&Gas and the managing director of Kanat Petroleum. Our companies have been active in Kazakhstan for more than 14 years in the energy sector, and Kanat is also one of Kazakhstan's largest Canadian investors. For those who are not familiar with the KCBC, it was jointly set up in 2015 by CERBA on the Canadian side and the Kazakhstan International Chamber of Commerce on the part of Kazakhstan. The council is co-chaired by the chief executives of Kazatomprom and Chemical Corporation, Messrs. Permatov and Gitzel. KCBC is widely recognized as one of the preeminent forums to promote bilateral cooperation, trade, and investment between Kazakh and Canadian organizations and companies. I would like to welcome all the dignitaries, as well as our keynote speakers and panelists to this working group, and of course, all of you in the audience who are taking part. We currently have more than 160 registered participants for this working group, and time permitting, our experts will be happy to answer any questions that you may have during our Q&A sessions. Today's working group will be divided into 2 parts. We'll start with the mining working group, and in the second hour, we'll wrap it up with the energy working group. The moderator of the mining working group will be Kanat Skakov, CERBA Kazakhstan director and partner of Dentons, Kazakhstan. And the moderator of the energy working group will be Ruslan, managing director of this Association of Renewable Energy of the Republic of Kazakhstan. I'll let Kanat and Ruslan introduce the keynote speakers. However, I would like to take some time on behalf of KCBC to give special thanks to Mr. Serikkali Brekeshev, Vice Minister of Ecology, Geology, and Natural Resources of the Republic of Kazakhstan, as well as Mr. Ruslan Baimishev, Kazakhstan's Vice Minister of Industry and Infrastructure Development. These gentlemen have graciously agreed to attend today's event and provide their welcoming remarks in spite of their busy schedules in the late hour in Kazakhstan. COVID-19 has had a major effect on all the world's economies, and Kazakhstan and Canada are no exceptions. However, times of crisis can also serve to bring people, companies, and organizations and governments closer together. Cooperation, communication, and solidarity must be intensified in times such as now. And all stakeholders clearly understand this, and they need to work even more closely together to ease the pain and provide a roadmap to a better economic future. Difficult economic times can also present opportunities to acquire projects that would otherwise not be available. I think it's safe to say that the governments of Kazakhstan and Canada are open for business and ready to welcome additional investments in the energy and natural resource sectors of their respective economies. These sectors are critical to both countries and vital contributors of GNP, so they are very high in the priority list of both governments. I would like to thank our bronze level sponsor, Nero Delta, for their support of today's working group. And in closing, I would like to give special thanks to the co-chairs of the 4th session of the KCBC, National Company Kazatomprom and Chemical Corporation, for their generous sponsorship of this year's KCBC. Without their financial support, this year's working group and the upcoming plenary session of KCBC would not have been possible. I hope that today's event will be beneficial to all of you who are attending, and that it will lead to additional bilateral investments in each of our countries. Please make use of the links and contact details for further follow-up after the event. The results of today's working group meetings will be presented during the plenary session of the KCBC on November 25th, and later published in a report that will be made available to the public. Thank you, everyone. I would now like to invite Zhandos Temirgali, the co-chair of this working group, to say a few words. Zhandos.
Thank you, Norman. Thank you very much. Dear Excellencies, dear participants, my name is Zhandos Temirgali. I'm the Strategic Projects Advisor to the Chairman of KAZAKH Invest National Company and the Head of Investment Attraction Division. Bilateral relations between Kazakhstan and Canada are traditionally being warm and productive. Today, Kazakhstan is Canada's largest trade and investment partner in Central Asia. In fact, over the past 15 years, FDI from Canada to Kazakhstan has exceeded 5 billion. In Canada's Global Markets Action Plan, Kazakhstan is designated as a priority emerging market with a wide range of opportunities for the Canadian companies. The pandemic has significantly impacted the global economy, and Kazakhstan is no exception. However, the government acted early to contain the spread of the virus, announcing the lockdown along the various measures to support the citizens. In total, over 13 billion was spent to mitigate the crisis. Following the results of the 10 months of this year, Kazakhstan's GDP decreased by only 3%. Remarkably, Kazakhstan and Canada have a lot in common, including geography and climate, multicultural society, and very importantly, the structure of the economy. And we consider such sectors as oil and gas, mining, together with agriculture, mechanical engineering, and are the core pillars of our cooperations that have tremendous potential. Why? So let me highlight the fact that Kazakhstan is ranked 6th in the world in terms of cumulative amount of natural resources. Researchers estimate that there are over 5,000 unexplored deposits still present in Kazakhstan, valued over 46 trillion. Moreover, today Kazakhstan is aimed at developing the innovative intelligent manufacturing facilities based on the rich reserves of the strategic materials such as lithium, nickel, cobalt, manganese, and the rare earth metals. Kazakhstan places great emphasis on moving towards the green economy and the development of renewable energy. Introduction of the new legislature and the clear implementation mechanisms have demonstrated impressive results. In 2019, the total renewable energy capacities have doubled, with 21 new projects implemented amounting over $600 million. So today, Kazakhstan, which ranks 25th in the World Bank's Doing Business, has created all necessary conditions for successful operation of the Canadian companies. The government is ready to provide comprehensive support to the investment projects, including such incentives as tax exemptions, various industry subsidies, and state financing, as well as provision of a land plot with turnkey infrastructure. The Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council today serves as the key instrument for the development of bilateral economic relations between our countries. This year, despite the online format, we even managed to expand the agenda and significantly raise the representative level of the participants. All this indicates that relations between Kazakhstan and Canada are experiencing a period of rapid growth and given an utmost priority. Dear participants, with a great pleasure and excitement that I open the meeting of our working group, which is dedicated to the sectors of energy and natural resources. I am glad to know that today we have a remarkably high status of speakers, as well as a wide range of topics to be covered. I'm looking forward to the productive discussion. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to our participants in Canada. My name is Kanat Skakov, and I'm a partner with Dentons global law firm based in Almaty, Kazakhstan. It's a great honor for me to moderate our first session today, which will be about the Kazakhstan-Canada cooperation in the mining sector. First, I would like to inform you about some technical points. Please note that all attendees' videos and audios will be switched off. There is a simultaneous interpretation provided both in English and Russian languages. You can use this by using the button in the right bottom corner of your screen. Please note that all attendees can submit their questions to the Q&A session. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite for the welcoming remarks our first speaker today, Mr. Serikkali Brekeshev, Vice Minister of Ecology, Geology and Natural Resources of the Republic of Kazakhstan.
Спасибо большое. Здравствуйте, уважаемые рабочие группы. Разрешите поприветствовать вас от имени Министерства экологии, геологии и природных ресурсов Республики Казахстан. Хочу отметить, что укрепление казахстанско-канадского сотрудничества имеет для нас приоритетное значение. Проведение данного делового совета – это уникальная возможность для представителей ведущих компаний Канады, заинтересованных в инвестициях, транспорте, технологии, геологоразведку Казахстана, и ознакомиться с бизнес-проектами казахстанских предприятий. Как уже говорил господин Zhandos Temirgali, наша страна обладает более 5000 месторождений, прогнозная стоимость которых оценивается в десятки триллионов долларов. Казахстан занимает лидирующие позиции в мире по разведанным запасам цинка, вольфрама, серебра, свинца, хромитов, меди, золота. В стране имеются значительные нефтегазовые ресурсы. Мы занимаем 9-е место в мире по подтвержденным запасам нефти, которые сосредоточены в западных областях республики. Кроме того, республика занимает 8-е место по запасам угля и 2-е место по запасам урана. На сегодняшний день наше министерство осуществляет системную работу по технологической модернизации и цифровизации геологической отрасли. Одной из ключевых задач является создание отраслевой инфраструктуры и разработка информационной системы Национальный банк данных минеральных ресурсов Республики Казахстан, направленной на внедрение принципа единого окна в целях упрощения и автоматизации бизнес-процессов недропользования и привлечения инвестиций. Также по поручению главы государства министерством разрабатывается государственная программа геологической разведки Республики Казахстан на 2021-2025 годы, основной целью которой является формирование предпосылок и условий для устойчивого восполнения, развития и поддержки конкурентоспособности минерально-сырьевой базы Казахстана путем повышения геологической изученности территории страны, что позволит значительно расширить инвестиционную привлекательность минерально-сырьевой базы и будет способствовать развитию рынка юниорских компаний. В рамках повышения прозрачности и предсказуемости сферы недропользования внедряются международные системы стандартов отчетности по запасам твердых полезных ископаемых КРИСКа и запасам углеводородного сырья. Приводя стандарты к международному уровню, Казахстан открывает доступ к потоку инвестиций в отрасль, готовность к развитию рынка юниорских компаний и обеспечению независимой оценки минерально-сырьевых активов. Для реализации государственной инициативы по разведке приоритетных видов полезных ископаемых и трансферту новых технологий в республику на сегодняшний день функционируют национальные компании со 100% участием государства. Успешный международный опыт данных компаний выражается в партнерстве с крупными транснациональными компаниями. На сегодняшний день имеется значительный потенциал обмена опытом и реализации совместных проектов с Канадой. Подробно о перспективных проектах в сфере геологии ознакомит руководитель нашей национальной компании KazGeology господин Boranbayev. Уверен, что данная диалоговая площадка придаст новый импульс развитию сотрудничества между компаниями и организациями наших стран. Желаю всем успеха и благодарю за внимание. Спасибо.
Thank you, Mr. Brekeshev. Now, let me invite for the welcoming remarks Mr. Ruslan Baimishev, Vice Minister of Industry and Infrastructure Development of the Republic of Kazakhstan.
Good morning and good evening, dear participants of the Kazakhstan-Canadian Business Council. I'm glad to be with you today and to participate in the next meeting of the Kazakh-Canadian Business Council. Every year, there is positive results. This is of enterprises with Canadian capital. Dynamic of cooperation, development within the ministry's competence. Today, cooperation is developing successfully in all sectors of the economy with the subsoil use, industry, transport, and logistics. Today, I want to dwell on the main aspects of cooperation in such areas as subsoil use and the mining and metallurgical industry. For Kazakhstan, the mining and metallurgical complex is the country's second economy after the oil and gas industry, where concentrate 23% of industry and 21% of national export. More than 650 large and medium businesses are already successfully operating in the sector, including global brands such as Rio Tinto, Glencore, Iluka, Drzlar, Polymetal, Fortescue, and others. This indicates that our investment climate meets international requirements. It is gratifying to know that following the recommendation of the OECD science on subsoil use, subsoil and subsoil use practice to ensure transparent and understandable method of the state regulation of the industry. Granting of the subsoil use rights according to the principle first count 1,000 license already 650 square kilometer was opened for the exploration. My colleagues has already said the main database, and there are many other advantages of subsoil use code, such as transformation of subsoil areas, rotation results, or to revocation a license. There is a violation of the fulfillment of the minimum exploration cost, failed to pay subscription bonus and lease payments. Also, an important emphasis is the main of the state support for investments. For this purpose, in additionally for the stability of the legislation, as a package of incentives has been adopted, such as investment subsidies, tax incentives, including exemption from corporate income, land, and priority taxes. For example, in order to support the industry and of the mining and metallurgical complex in the current social economic conditions, the state provides the opportunity to transfer contract and license obligation for 2020, as well as the implementation of the work programs of 2020 for subsequent years without the application of penalties, and provide deferral for payments of fine and debts. The key elements of our activity is to increase investment attractiveness. Due to the ongoing global changes and market volatility, Kazakhstan has adopted a number of important initiatives aimed to improve the investment and innovation potential of the mining industry in strict accordance with international standards. Special attention is paid to the extractive industrial transparency initiative. Kazakhstan has made significant progress in the EATI. Ladies and gentlemen, the geographical proximity with the main consumer of the raw materials and metals, China, transit potential, low traffic for energy costs, cheap labor, special economic and industrial zones with low burden, developed in structure are Kazakhstan's strong advantages. Concluding my speech, I would like to note that Kazakhstan has created the all favorable condition for investing in the country's economy. Since this year, the 5-year plan of the stage program of industrial and innovative development until 2025 is being implemented. Within the framework of which tools to support both Kazakhstan and foreign business are also provided. We are all ready to jointly start implementing high-tech projects using the experience and technologies of Canada. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baimishev. We now start our session on the topic of structural changes in Kazakhstan and Canadian mining sector and prospective partnership opportunities. We have 5 keynote speakers. Each of them will have 5 minutes. Our first speaker is Mr. Anvar Boranbayev, Chairman of the Board of KazGeology National Company.
Доброго дня, коллеги. Позвольте поприветствовать вас от нашей компании и предложить к демонстрации соответствующие наши возможности и наше дальнейшее видение. То есть вот на сегодняшний день компания была, мы являемся государственной компанией, и здесь отражен на данном слайде наш функционал. Здесь на данном слайде мы показываем с левой стороны то количество зарубежных инвесторов, с которыми мы на сегодняшний день работаем. И с правой стороны это то наше видение, кого бы мы хотели привлечь, но именно в тот самый рискованный составляющее направление, то есть это государственное геологическое изучение недр, то есть и последующее поискование, то есть и выявление территории для открытия соответствующих месторождений. Также хотелось бы отметить, что на сегодняшний день наша компания реализует информационную систему «Национальный банк данных», которая позволит, по принципу одного окна, получать составляющую определенной информации по всем видам для последующей оценки тех или иных территорий, куда хотели бы зайти зарубежные инвесторы. Также хотелось бы отметить, что на сегодняшний день мы работаем с компанией ЛС по созданию лаборатории и последующему его запуску, получению международной аккредитации, которая запланирована в 2021 году. Также хотелось бы сказать вот этим слайдом, что в ближайшее время будут расширяться функционал KazGeology. Это поискование, проведение геолого-разведочных работ и выявление перспективных площадей на территории малоизученных осадочных бассейнов, связанным с поиском и оценкой их углеводородного потенциала. Следующим слайдом хотелось бы показать именно те проекты, которые на сегодняшний день имеются в активе KazGeology и на которые хотелось бы привлечь инвесторов. Они имеют разную направленность, сосредоточены как в центральном, так и в северном Казахстане, то есть и по видам минерального сырья, то есть это золото, медь и редкоземельные металлы. Здесь более детальная расшифровка по необходимым обязательствам и наличию и содержанию соответствующих образований. Здесь Баршатукен, то есть это объект очень интересный в плане поискования на золото, то есть и вообще все, что связано с участком Сарашиган, то есть это действительно связано с перспективами. Далее хотелось бы сказать, что есть наш перспективный проект Арго, то есть да, необходимо соответствующий объем инвестиций, да, действительно сложная ситуация в мире, она не позволила Илюка продолжить соответствующие работы, то есть, но хотелось бы, конечно, чтобы на этот проект тоже обратили внимание. И при этом хотелось бы сказать, что у нас есть еще пул определенных проектов, в которые бы мы хотели бы привлечь потенциального инвестора и разделить с нами наши риски. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boranbayev, for this presentation. Our next speaker is Mr. Kanat Kudaibergen, who is chairman of the board of Tauken Samruk National Mining Company.
Dear participants, Good morning, Canada. Good evening, Nur Sultan. I'm very glad to see you healthy and again. So let me give some short brief additionally for my colleagues' information. So I will start with from overview of some advantage of investment climate and the mining and metal sector in Kazakhstan. So geolocation, we are close to China and Russia. It's both of them. It's a major consumer of natural resource in the world. Our metallurgical products generally we exports to China and Russia. Second, we are part of the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, which is an adaptation of the historical Silk Road. And we have our government program, which was initiated by first president our country. It's a new economic policy, Nurlu Jol, which is strongly interlinked with the Belt and Road Initiative. So there is a well-developed infrastructure in Kazakhstan. It's not necessary to spend billions of dollars to build new railway roads and or ports and other objects of infrastructure. Kazakhstan has relatively low power cost and the skillful labor, which is very important for mining in the metal sector. As my colleagues said, Kazakhstan has a significant mineral resource base and number of the world-class deposits. Tauken Samruk represents mining section of Samruk Kazna, which is sovereign welfare fund of Kazakhstan with capitalization more than $70 billion. The mission of our company is to develop mining and metal sector of Kazakhstan through development of investment projects. Our vision is to be a company with a diversified portfolio of assets, a reliable strategic partner for wide of range of investors in the mining and metal sector of Republic Kazakhstan, with resource and committed to the best standards in the implementation of investment projects. Our objective is to implement jointly with strategic partners projects from the current portfolio of our assets. We are also keen to develop new projects by investing together with strategic partners in brownfield and greenfield projects in Kazakhstan. And we also willing to provide financial and technical support for junior metals and mining companies to develop greenfield mining projects in Kazakhstan. Actually, we have launched a new program. It's a junior companies program. Tauken Samruk has assets in different subsectors. Gold operating gold refinery with annual capacity of 30 tons of gold, which produced more than 70 tons of refined gold during last 5 years. We own 2 tungsten deposits on pre-feasibility stage, PFS, one of which is the largest in the world. It's a Verkhny Khayrakhta. Zinc and lead, we have started construction at the Shalkia deposit with measured indicated inferred resource of 6 million tons. of zinc and 1.7 million tons of lead. We also have a Liger deposit with 1 million tons of lead resource and as a byproduct silver. And it's also in construction stage. Silicon metal metallurgical plant with annual capacity 24,000 tons of metallurgical silicon, and we have our own deposit Actas with 4 million tons of quartz. Tauke Samruk owns large polymetallic assets. Shalkia, our main asset, is one of the largest zinc deposits in the world. Zinc resource of Shalkia deposit are the 22nd largest in the world. Tauken also has an example of efficient partnership with one of the world's largest mining and metal company. We have built effective partnership with the Glencore in KAZAKH LLP, largest zinc and lead producer in our region. After the launch of Shalkia, Tauken Samruk will control production of about 190,000 tons of zinc per year. In Kazakhstan, only as my colleagues before said, in Kazakhstan only insignificant amount of exploration work was conducted in 1980s. Since then, for more than 25 years, not a single large deposit has been discovered in Kazakhstan. So at the time, Kazakhstan has following benefits of conduct exploration, low depth of exploration at the level of 200 meters and low exploration cost per 1 square kilometer compared to other countries. Significant and diverse mineral resource base. Now we are ready to take new territories for exploration with partners. We already started exploration projects with the Fortescue Group. It's about our new program for development of the junior metals and mining market. The diagram shows the process of cooperation from the initiation of the project to its final implementation. After selecting projects and working out the optimal scheme of cooperation and developing a business plan, TKS will carry out all the types of support presented, up to bringing the project to the planned stage, whether it is approving JORC reserves, completing the development of a feasibility study or BFS, and the launching production. Our offer is to build a good partnership, and we invite strategic partners to establish a partnership jointly. We are seeking mutually beneficial cooperation. For more information, contact details of responsible persons are shown here. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kudaibergen. It's a good time to continue our discussion on potential partnership opportunities in Kazakhstan. And our next speaker is Ms. Dilyara Tektigulova, who is head of mining and metallurgy projects of Kazakh Invest National Company. This is a national company established by the government of Kazakhstan to attract foreign investors and support investment projects in Kazakhstan.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to give some more insight on prospects of mining and metallurgical industry of Kazakhstan. Next slide, please. In terms of variety of mineral resources, Kazakhstan also has leading positions in the world. So we have, in general, 99 chemical elements identified in subsoil of Kazakhstan. 70 of them are explored and 60 are already being extracted. So we are very rich for natural resources, and there is a myriad there are myriad opportunities for industry players. Next slide, please. We believe that prospects and opportunities in mining metallurgical industry are related to the following. First is the exploration of new prospective areas that have not been explored before or explored to limited extent. As my colleagues outlined, we have a new mining code that opens up opportunities for exploration and potential investors. Second is the development of deposits for which exploration and mining licenses are already allocated. In this regard, Kazakh Invest has a pipeline of private Kazakhstani companies' investment projects that we can offer to potential investors. Third is the application of efficient methods for ore processing and metal producing to the previously explored deposits in order to increase productivity and to reach economic feasibility. Thus, we welcome Canadian and other investors with rich expertise and new innovative technologies that can be applied to these deposits in order to get the efficiency from these deposits. And last but not the least is the development of further conversions of metal processing. Next slide, please. As was highlighted, an important initiative of Kazakhstan was the introduction of new subsoil and subsoil use code, so-called mining code. And one of the conceptual innovations I'd like to note is the ensuring functioning of junior companies and the possibility of raising funds. For now, we have a new segment created in Astana International Financial Center's stock exchange for junior companies, where companies can effectively raise funding for exploration with minimum requirements for registration, listing, and also get some tax benefits. Next slide, please. With the purpose of promoting investment proposals effectively, Kazakh Invest has been closely cooperating with Big Four consulting companies. We have prepared project documentation on more than 40 promising niche projects. All these deposits belong to private subsoil users, and we have teasers on each of these projects available on our website. If you find some of them interesting, we will be happy to share detailed information with you. We have investment opportunities in base metals, in precious metals, iron ore, rare and rare earth metals. Next slide, please. I'd like to draw your attention on availability of energy metals in Kazakhstan. So with the increase of demand for lithium-ion batteries in the world, we believe that potential investors should have a closer look to lithium projects in Kazakhstan. We have several private Kazakhstani companies that obtained exploration licenses and are already starting their exploration works, and they are open for negotiations. So the full research for identifying the exact lithium reserves in Kazakhstan have not yet been performed. So we believe that there are open opportunities for investors. When it comes to nickel and cobalt deposits, we also have significant reserves of them, and we have favorable ratio of cobalt and nickel that is feasible for economic development of these deposits. So taking into account the content of nickel in these deposits, we believe that new technologies should be applied to process and develop these deposits, like autoclave acid leaching or fluoride leaching. We also have a deposit that is now using in situ leaching technology. So they're also open for negotiations. And I'd like to also mention that we have opportunities in vanadium deposits. Currently, Kazakhstan already has refining facilities, And experts predict also increase in global demand for vanadium due to introduction of China and new rebar standards that requires usage of microalloy additives such as vanadium in structural steels. So we believe that these projects are also very promising. Next slide, please. In this slide, you can see investment preferences provided by the government of Kazakhstan. So each investor that produces value-added products can obtain tax holidays, exemption from customs duties, in-kind grants, investment subsidies, simplified procedures for attracting foreign labor, and many others. We will be happy to provide consultation for potential investors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dilyara. Our next speaker is Mr. Dmitry Barsukov, who is the General Director of Cameco Kazakhstan, a joint venture between Canada-based Cameco Corporation and Kazatomprom, Kazakh National Atomic Company. Dmitry, please.
Thank you for the introduction. Good morning, afternoon, or evening to everyone online with us right now for this great event. Let me start by saying how pleased I am to participate in the program of the fourth meeting of Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council, along with many distinguished speakers and guests. I would like to acknowledge the organizer, Canada-Eurasia-Russia Business Association, for pulling together this event in today's challenging environment, and to thank CERBA for the opportunity to speak here. As mentioned briefly in my introduction, I'm with Cameco in Kazakhstan. I've been involved with Cameco operations in a few countries for over 2 decades, and that includes the last 5 years with our great partnership with Kazatomprom in Kazakhstan. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about that partnership and what that experience has been like for our company in that beautiful country. You know, Cameco was one of the first Western companies to venture into Kazakhstan back in 1992. At that time, we were looking to expand our uranium portfolio, and we were hopeful about the potential opportunities we saw in the country at that time. By 1994, we had completed a mutually beneficial investment and marketing agreement that committed Cameco to help flow Kazakhstani uranium to Western markets. That early relationship then paved the way for our most important partnership in the region, the Inkai joint venture. After years of teamwork and collaboration, commercial production at Inkai commenced in 2009. Since then, it's been a top source of uranium production, one we've had the pleasure of watching produce consistently and with an unwavering focus on safety. Today, it's amongst the best uranium mining operations in the world and a very significant deposit that will provide many years of production. In 2019, JV Inkai successfully increased production to 8.3 million pounds of uranium for the first time. And we were projecting to produce the same amount in 2020 until the pandemic changed our plans. Despite this latest challenge, we are very pleased with how things are running there. But it's not just about the benefits that our partnership at Inkai have brought to Cameco. Over the past 20 years, Kazatomprom has transformed from a small uranium company to the largest uranium producer in the world and diversified into other areas of the front end of the nuclear fuel cycle. Today, Kazatomprom in Kazakhstan are the world's leader in uranium production, and much of the credit for that continued success goes to Kazatomprom's CEO, Mr. Pirmatov, and the first president, Nazarbayev. Both these men have been committed to the peaceful development and expansion of nuclear energy. And under their leadership, nuclear has taken an important place in Kazakhstan's plan to develop a modern, diversified economy based on both abundant resources and talented people. Under Mr. Pirmatov's leadership, Kazatomprom made another important step in its development in 2018 when they became the first major national company that went through an initial public offering and today their shares are traded in London and Astana stock exchanges. We've been very impressed by the strides that have been made by the company and how well they have run their operations. This year, Cameco and Kazatomprom and our home countries of Canada and Kazakhstan have continued to discuss further opportunities. In February, on the sidelines of the 56th Munich Security Conference, the President of Kazakhstan, Tokayev, and Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau discussed the current state and prospects of the Kazakhstani-Canadian cooperation in trade, economic, investment, cultural, and humanitarian areas. This week, our CEO, Tim Gitzel, will participate in the 33rd plenary session of the Foreign Investors Council, chaired by the President of Kazakhstan. So work continues to further cement the partnership we have and the commitment we've made to bring the multiple benefits of nuclear energy to the world. And those benefits go beyond business. Cameco has been committed to give back to a number of community initiatives in Kazakhstan over the years in areas such as youth sports. Hockey is much loved in both Cameco and Kazakhstan, education and infrastructure. This year brought its own priorities, of course, and we have been involved in a project to provide important medical and personal protective equipment to a hospital in Nur-Sultan, a great initiative by several foreign investors who joined forces to help Kazakhstan fight the pandemic. These types of projects are something we're very proud of, and we will continue to give back when and where we can. I'd be remiss to not mention this great platform, the Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council. Cameco and Kazatomprom have been co-chairs since KCBC's creation in 2016. Collaborating on this platform has certainly contributed to further strengthening our relationship. We developed a strong foundation over the years that has allowed us to continually persevere and open up mutually beneficial opportunities. That's obviously good news for countries like ours with vast uranium resources. And while the nuclear industry is still experiencing challenges with lower uranium prices, we know that global electricity demand is expected to double in the next 30 years, and there is growing concern over carbon emissions. The world needs safe, clean, reliable energy in large quantities, and that means the long-term fundamentals for our industry are positive, and in fact, quite promising. That's why we believe the future is bright for Cameco in Kazakhstan, with carbon-free, always-on nuclear power playing a key role. Together with Kazatomprom in Kazakhstan, we know that we can make good on Cameco's vision to energize a clean air world and continue to improve the lives of people in both of our countries. And we're looking forward to doing just that in the years and decades ahead. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you, Dmitry, for these very useful insights. Now, I would like to invite our next speaker from Canada, Ms. Emily Kneteman, who is Regional Director of Invest Canada.
Thank you, Kanat. I don't have a PowerPoint today. However, I would like to share some speaking notes with everyone. So as was noted, I'm Emily Kneteman, our Regional Director with the Alberta Office for Invest in Canada. Invest in Canada is an arm's length organization from the Government of Canada. And our mandate is to promote Canada as a destination for businesses through curated experiences and investor-ready content. We facilitate relevant and timely data to investors while ramping up strategic initiatives to improve data availability about Canada's foreign investment landscape. We focus on bringing together industry, community, government partners, and private foreign investors for a seamless service to make an accelerated expansion into our country. Some of our functions, just very briefly for everyone, is to develop a national strategy to attract foreign investment, maintain partnerships with any foreign company seeking investment into the country, and to provide them with a coordinated service offering to support their investment. I just want to very briefly, since I know we're short on time, go through some of the aspects of our mining industry in Canada. So about half of the world's publicly listed mining and exploration companies are listed on Canada's TSX and TSXV, and the country ranks the 6th largest energy producer in the world. We have an abundance of natural resources, global market access, and a commitment to emissions-reducing technology to make Canada a prime investment location for forward-thinking energy, minerals and metals, and forestry sector companies. We are closely linked to Canada's clean tech industry, and this natural resource sector is constantly evolving to meet the needs for cleaner energy mining solutions while supplying world demand. Some facts about our mining and mineral sector. So it roughly employs 1.7 million jobs across the country, and 8.7% is our GDP growth of our natural resources sector annually. So we do see quite a bit of growth in both natural resources and mining and minerals. We have the largest potash producer, second largest softwood lumber producer, and the 3rd largest oil reserves in the world. A little more specifically about mining, some of our key strengths include an abundance of mineral and metal resources, sustainable mineral development, very sophisticated financial institutions to support any foreign investment, broad expertise in geoscience, and extensive science and technology network. Some of the recent investments in Canada that I thought I would outline include, these aren't necessarily from Kazakhstan, they're from other regions, but I hope they demonstrate how we are receiving investment in the mining sector in our country. So one is a company called Vale. It is a Brazilian company, and they're constructing $2.2 billion in a nickel mine in Newfoundland and Labrador. We also recently had Rio Tinto announce they were investing $250 million to extend operations in an alumina refinery in Quebec. We have quite a few more investments, and if anyone is interested, I can share what those are. One thing to note is we have a very large research institution in Canada to support mining and minerals, and this is the CanMet Minerals Institution. It's the largest research center in Canada dedicated to fabricating, processing, and evaluating metals and minerals. Their main focus is to improve all aspects of producing and using value-added products that are derived from metals and minerals. As well, companies that are interested in partnering with them from outside Canada can do so. Now, if anyone here has any companies that are interested in investing in minerals and mining in Canada, we do have 2 tax credit and incentive programs. One is the Mineral Exploration Tax Credit. It helps companies raise equity funds by passing on tax credits to investors on eligible expenses. It's about a 15% non-refundable tax credit. And then we also have what we call flow-through shares. And this would allow any foreign investor in mining to transfer eligible exploration and development expenses to their beneficial owners, which can then be applied for tax credits for these expenditures. I realize I only have about 15 seconds left. So if you or anyone you know is interested in investing in Canada, across all sectors, but as well specifically in mining and minerals, please contact myself with Invest in Canada or anyone at our organization, and we would be happy to assist you and your exploration of our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emily. We now have our Q&A and open discussion session, and we have several participants. I would like to briefly introduce them. These include Mr. Sarjanov, who is head of department of the Committee for Industrial Development and Industrial Safety of the Ministry of Industry and Infrastructure Development. Mr. Radostovets, who is president of the Union of Commodity Producers and Exporters of Kazakhstan. Ms. Claudia Müller, who is mining program director of the York University. Mr. Rajesh Sharma, who is executive advisor to the government of Quebec and Investment Quebec, and Mr. Robert Camier and Mr. Scott Cousineau, who are from Ontario Ministry of Energy, Northern Development and Mines. Unfortunately, we are very short on time. Please turn on your video, and I would like to start our open discussion with asking if any of the panelists have any comments or questions based on the keynote speaker speeches.
Yeah, one comment. This is Rajesh Sharma, Mr. Kanat. I think what we heard from various speakers just now is a tremendous opportunity for collaboration between Kazakhstan and Canada. And I would like to, kind of highlight 4 areas and probably some food for thought for CERBA or KCBC to have working groups in 4 specific areas so that really this interesting opportunity could be leveraged. So one is technical expertise. Canada has abundance of that in the area of mining, exploration, and there are very well-known strong companies who may not even be aware of what the potential is to collaborate with Kazakhstan. Second is innovation in mining. I think that's another crucial area. Canada, probably like Kazakhstan, is used to working in very difficult conditions. And today, mining business is a global business. You need to be cost competitive. And that's where innovation, use of modern technologies, artificial intelligence is being promoted. And Canada is again at a leadership position in that. And the last 2, third is access to capital, which we all know, either raising capital, as the previous speaker talked about, the thriving TSX and TSXV exchanges, or partnering with Canadian companies who have capital there. So that's the third. And the last is the infrastructure development. Although I think in the earlier discussions, there were conversation about how good the infrastructure, fundamental infrastructure is in Kazakhstan. But as we all know, for developing mineral and mining resources, that's a big piece. And there could be creative ways to access capital, access large Canadian funds who are looking at investing overseas on a long-term basis. So this is the 4th group which you could consider. So I'll stop here. Kanat, this was my comment. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sharma. Any more comments?
Yeah, I just thought I would add to what Rajesh just said, if I may. I just wanted to add, when you addressed the first part, when you were talking about capabilities and expertise, I think one of the big areas where we can also collaborate more is just the exchange of knowledge and education. And, Canada certainly has its strengths when it comes to education around mining. We do have some very well-renowned mining schools that offer education in mining engineering and geology-related degrees. But I do think that there is a lot of opportunity to look for more partnerships and collaboration in that particular area as well. So getting our people on both sides ready for working in the sector and looking at future leaders and future generations of the workforce overall.
Excellent. Thank you very much. One of the questions which came before this session, actually, it was about digitalization processes in the mining and the metallurgy sector of Canada. Could anyone comment on this and tell us a bit more about these processes?
Yeah, I can add a little bit of information on that point. So it's, I think, first of all, let me say that I think what we're experiencing around technology in mining, I don't think is necessarily any different in Canada than it is in most other countries when it comes to the mining industry. And I think what that means for many of us is that we have been a little bit more conservative in the way we approach technology and innovation overall. Luckily, we've seen a bit of a change in that if we're looking at just the importance that mining companies are placing on anything to do with digital and technology in mining. We've seen for the last number of years that related topics have been placed at the top 10 mining risks and mining trends lists for many research and consulting firms when they do their yearly assessments. So there's certainly more awareness now, and there has been more investment going on. we're seeing a bit of a different approach. We're seeing a change moving away from our traditional idea of how we plan, schedule, execute, and monitor in mining and in our mining life cycle. And we've seen a much more strategic approach that looks at more integration between different players, different departments, different stages of the mining life cycle. So we're really now moving towards more of an optimization, improving, growing, and sustaining approach than we have previously. And maybe two more little facts that I can put in before I finish is, I think the majority of innovations, which is no surprise, we're still seeing in areas that are very close to core businesses in companies. So they're not, they're close to a core, they're not transformational. And so we're seeing the majority of our innovation and technology really coming out of that piece. And unsurprisingly, what we're also seeing is that the originators of new technology and digital transformation are service and supply companies rather than mining companies themselves. So over the last about 15 years, a lot of the big players that we used to have, and many of them are actually not Canadian anymore, if you think about many players that have been taken over by foreign companies, but they have lost their huge research and development department that they used to have, where they used to offer a lot of in-house innovation and tech services. And with that loss, we've seen that shift, that responsibility really to suppliers and service companies, which leaves a lot of room for companies to come in from a tech side. So we're seeing more tech people now offering innovation and technology that can be applied within mining, where previously what we did was very much coming from within the mining ecosystem. And I guess lastly, before I finish, I think there is a great opportunity also with COVID happening. And, I think the pandemic has created so many challenges for us, for everyone. And in mining, we've certainly not been spared by that. So, I think there is a little bit of more of a push for automation, because we're seeing some of the leading companies that can certainly navigate the pandemic a little bit more easily because they have, already digital technologies in place. They can use sensors that they have in place to track people much more closely and force social distancing. We can see that they have fewer people because they have automation or remote access possibilities. So I think we will see this pushing companies to also even more invest even more in what they're doing around digitalization and technology.
Thank you very much, Claudia. I would like to ask Mr. Radostovets and Mr. Sarjanov if they have any comments with respect to these issues and generally to potential cooperation and partnership opportunities between Kazakhstan and Canada.
Возглавляю горно-металлургическую ассоциацию, куда более 120 крупных средних компаний горно-металлургической промышленности, угольной, золотодобывающей. Такие компании, как Geology, Казцин, Казахмыс, Металлстил, Казатомпром и ряд других. И сегодня очень важно сказать, что у нас с Канадой, у Казахстана есть общность в сложных природно-климатических условиях. И, конечно, это позволяет нам друг друга лучше понимать. Нам сейчас очень трудно, конечно, особенно в условиях будущей зимы, сохранять непрерывность производства.
Future winter conditions, it's very hard to preserve the production on the same level, to invest in
чтобы наше законодательство было максимально проще, создавало меньше барьеров на вхождение инвесторов и было максимально цифровизованным. Сейчас по инициативе правительства создается так называемое единое окно, через который инвестор сможет получить все необходимые разрешения на проведение недропользования. Мы в этом тоже активно участвуем, как ассоциация. Второй, конечно, нам бы очень хотелось сказать, да, у нас еще несовершенное, может быть, законодательство, поскольку кто-то скажет, что в Казахстане еще не применяется роялти как налог, который во многих горно-металлургических странах стал обычной практикой. Но во всем можно видеть не только плохое, мы видим даже хорошее, потому что многие инвесторы, которые сейчас рассматривают Казахстан, переработку его компонентов сырья, которое очень комплексное сырье, должно понимать, что сейчас есть как раз аспект, когда у нас есть диалог с Министерством экономики, и мы можем формировать будущий процент роялти. Во всяком случае, высказывать свое мнение на этот счет. По тем или иным аспектам мы сейчас такой диалог ведем. К нему подключено Министерство финансов. И мы хотим вот именно использовать канадский опыт Австралии, с тем, чтобы ставки НДПИ, которые сейчас есть, могли сохранить те компании, которые работают на НДПИ.
Thank you very much for these excellent comments. Unfortunately, we have run out of time and we are now taking the time of the next session. Thank you for your questions and comments. And I would like to pass the floor to Mr. Ruslan Zhemkov, who is the moderator of our next session. Ruslan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, dear ladies and gentlemen. Hello, and thank you very much for your attention. We understand that mining sector is very important. That's why you took so much time. I would like to say that we are really short in time right now, and we have to go with our agenda. So I would like to ask my colleagues, my honorable speakers and panelists to be very precise in their presentations and in their speeches. So I would like now to give the floor to Director General of KazArenergy Association, Bulat Akchulakov.
Добрый день, участники сегодняшней рабочей группы. Как я понимаю, это казахстанско-канадский деловой совет. Ну, хотелось бы, во-первых, поблагодарить организаторов, что пригласили. И вот именно в этой сессии, которая касается энергетики, в данном случае я представляю ассоциацию KazArenergy, которая фокусируется на вопросах энергетики, включая нефтегазовый сектор, нефтепродукты, электроэнергетику. Ну и частично мы также рассматриваем вопросы по возобновляемым источникам энергии. Ну, хочу сказать, что сейчас время действительно непростое, потому что все мы являемся свидетелями кризиса, который был вызван в первую очередь пандемией коронавируса. И все прекрасно видим, что рынки по основным сырьевым направлениям не являются стабильными. Если говорить о нефтегазовом секторе, то сегодня цены достаточно низкие, то есть вы это тоже прекрасно наблюдаете, ввиду того, что сократилось значительно потребление по всем мире, по нефтегазовому сектору в частности. Но, тем не менее, любые кризисы, любые такого рода проблемы – это вызовы, и, в принципе, они тоже где-то в какой-то части сподвигают нас для расширения и именно укрепления каких-то вещей отраслевых, пользуясь таким небольшим, условно скажем, затишьем на рынке. И в данном случае хотелось бы обратить внимание, что, в принципе, сейчас ведется большая работа не только по антикризисным мерам, как и во всем мире, направленных на снижение влияния вот этого кризиса, но и сегодня мы смотрим и не перестаем работать над новыми перспективами развития отрасли и сферы энергетики. Ну, в частности, по Канаде я хотел бы отметить, здесь было уже сказано, у нас очень много, в принципе, общего, как климатически, так и примерно в структуре направлений развития экономик. Но хотел бы отметить, что Канада действительно занимает одно из приоритетных направлений во внешней политике нашей страны. И в частности, в нашем секторе, к сожалению, не так много сегодня активности со стороны канадских компаний в нефтегазовом секторе. Но есть очень хорошие примеры сотрудничества. В частности, это совместное предприятие «Инкай», национальной компании «Казатомпром». Это партнерство с компанией «Самека». То есть мы видим, что это достаточно удачный опыт сотрудничества с канадскими компаниями. Однако хотелось бы все-таки иметь более обширное сотрудничество с Канадой. В частности, допустим, в нашей ассоциации мы представляем интересы более 70 компаний в сфере энергетики. Но в основном преимущественно это добывающие нефть и газ компании, а также компании, представляющие сектор производства и передачи электроэнергии на территории Казахстана. В число наших членов ассоциации входят не только предприятия, добывающие нефть и газ в Казахстане, а также наши крупные инвесторы, такие как корпорации Chevron, ExxonMobil, Shell, Total, Adjip. Практически все компании представлены среди членов наших ассоциаций. В целом, хотел бы немножко сказать, что чем занимается ассоциация. Ассоциация занимается в основном развитием процессов развития отраслей. Я имею в виду большого понятия сферы энергетики. Как я уже сказал, это недропользование, это оборот нефти и нефтепродуктов, сжиженный нефтяной газ и природный нефтяной газ, электроэнергетика. Это вопросы экологии, которые действительно нас тоже касаются, вопросы развития местного содержания, так называемое, то есть это предприятия на территории Республики Казахстан, технологическое развитие, развитие человеческого капитала и сферы аналитики, которую мы также пытаемся предоставлять членам ассоциации, ну и не только, вообще в целом. Кроме того, мы также очень плотно сотрудничаем с международными организациями. Кстати, пользуясь моментом, хотел бы наших коллег из Канады поздравить, так как в прошлом году в Санкт-Петербурге по итогам голосования Всемирного нефтяного совета город Калгари был выбран местом проведения как раз-таки 24-го Всемирного нефтяного конгресса, который состоится в 2023 году. В целом, понимая в целом структуру вот таких вот деловых советов, хотел бы обратить внимание наших канадских партнеров, что сегодня в Казахстане создаются условия для инвестиций, для того, чтобы привлекать инвестиции, и в том числе и чтобы интересы крупных компаний за рубежа были представлены. Канада имеет очень большой, очень хороший колоссальный опыт в разработке нефтяных месторождений, особенно в провинции Альберта, мы очень знаем наших коллег, и где-то там в конце 90-х, в начале 2000-х нам удалось все-таки поработать с такими компаниями, как Петроканада, рядом компаний с Канадой и сервисными компаниями. Поэтому, к сожалению, сейчас немножко такое затишье, и не так часто встретишь, наверное, наших канадских партнеров именно в нефтегазовой сфере, хотя опыт очень большой у Канады в этой сфере, и хотел бы обратить внимание и пригласить наших коллег, чтобы они задумались об инвестировании в Казахстан. Тем более у нас сейчас стоит вопрос об исполнении ресурсной базы. Сделано определенное количество изменений, дополнений законодательства, которые сегодня дают возможность инвесторам более комфортно работать на территории нашей страны. В частности, было изменено законодательство в сфере недропользования. Сегодня это кодекс о недрах, который дает возможность компаниям приходить сюда не только на этапе разведки, но и совмещать контракты как на разведку, так и на добычу дальнейшую природных ресурсов, в частности нефти и газа, в одном контракте, что дает достаточно больше позитива и снижает риски для потенциальных инвесторов. Также были сделаны ряд налоговых послаблений, но мы в этом направлении еще работаем, и в следующем году мы фокусируемся и договорились с правительством, что мы будем в совместной рабочей группе, участники рынка и правительственные органы государственные вместе работать над дальнейшим совершенствованием законодательства. Среди более перспективных сфер я бы тоже отметил секторы нефтепереработки и, в частности, нефтехимии. Я бы тоже еще раз, пользуясь случаем, также бы пригласил наших потенциальных партнеров из Канады рассмотреть внимательно этот сектор в Казахстане. И понятно, что сектор производства и передачи электроэнергии, и в частности вопросы именно цифровой такой активности, то есть деятельности, они сегодня стоят также во главу угла. Поэтому достаточно очень много тем, чтобы обсудить. И, значит, пользуясь случаем, хотел бы пригласить наших коллег из Канады для дальнейших дискуссий и пожелать удачи вам сегодня в работе делового совета. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chulakov. Indeed, cooperation in the energy sector is very important. It is important to create partnerships, and the invitation that you have addressed to our Canadian partners is also very important. We know that your association is one of the key associations in the country, and the energy sector is very lucky to have you as the lead in this field. But now I would like to present the microphone to our colleague, to my colleague from the UNDP. He's the head of sustainable development. He used to be the director of the Association of Renewable Energy of Kazakhstan, Mr. Arman Kashkinbekov.
Hello, everyone. I hope connection is good. Thanks to Ruslan for nice moderatorship. And good morning, Canada, and good evening, Kazakhstan. We're so different and so similar. We here in this part of the world, we always try to compare ourselves to Canada, to Australia, big countries like that in terms of climate. It's already winter. In terms of natural resources, population, which is not that big in comparison to neighbors from the south for us, for you, and to the north for us. But still, we, as we have seen in the first section of mining, we have so many things to discuss. Sorry. So for renewable energy that I'll be speaking, we're working together with Ruslan on renewable energy, and this year I'm heading sustainable development at UNDP Kazakhstan. It's time to talk about our energy transition and energy switch, and that's where we are ready to learn from Canadian experience on city level, urbanization, modernization, energy efficiency, and other applicable areas. In Kazakhstan, we have appropriate legislative base for that shift, which is happening everywhere, and we are no exception. Concept moving Kazakhstan to green economy with 3% to be achieved of renewable energy by the end of this year, hopefully next month, 10% 2030 and 50% 2050. I would like to say that also Canada is not different country, is not strange or is not distant country for us, because so many friends of ours and so many Kazakhstanis have emigrated to this country. And speaking about the new green growth areas, definitely above, except for those already mentioned, there is energy efficiency, climate change, biodiversity, renewable energy, sustainable development, hydrogen, fuel cells, all those things that can help us for goods, works, and services made in Kazakhstan to be finally produced. Otherwise, China is going to capture this market, Central Asian market, and we have no choice. If you can help us to change the situation, then we're ready to talk to you. Also, definitely, it's not just natural resources. We're speaking for 30 years about our oil and gas, copper, zinc. That's wonderful, but it's not exciting, I guess, anymore for many people around the world. We need to speak about joint investments, private-public partnerships, donor co-financing, about stocks acquisition of Kazakh companies listed on international exchanges, about joint green bonds. Recently, we have piloted first ever green bonds on energy efficiency, renewable energy in Kazakhstan. Deforestation, Kazakhstan has announced big plans on that, ready to share info if some of you are interested, as well as another new green tech and green finance instruments. In Kazakhstan, we are moving ahead, except for 3% next month. Next year, 2021, we'll start to develop the detailed plan or strategy for developing Kazakhstan renewable energy until 2030, how we're going to reach 10% or 30% of so-called alternative energy. Speaking about alternative energy, of course, there will be appropriate new legislative act to support hydrogen development, to support industrial gases, to support coal-based methane, fuel cells production, and other possible sources of energy to secure energy mix of Kazakhstan in the long run and to secure at the same time the energy independence of the country. So thanks for organizers, Kazakh Invest, and our moderator for inviting me, and ready to discuss afterwards. Thank you.
Very much. We'll come back to you a little bit later and talk about renewable energy after we have our keynote speakers with their presentations. But now I would like to go on, and I would like to invite Iyad Kudsi, Area Director, Middle East, Kazakhstan and Africa, International Business Growth Branch of Ministry of Economic Development, Canada. Mr. Kudsi.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ruslan. I guess good evening for Kazakhstan. I would like to thank you all for attending this conference or this webinar, and I would like to give special thanks to our partner, Canada Kazakhstan Business Council. My name is Iyad Kudsi. I'm Middle East, Kazakhstan and Africa Area Director in the Ontario Government, Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. I'll say a few words about on our scope as Ministry of Economic Development, and we are engaged in the international activities, and our mandate is to drive job creation in Ontario by increasing export, increasing bilateral trade with our partner or with all companies around the world. We focus on the most important sectors, for sure. Mining, renewable energy are one of the most important sectors as well. We focus on ICT, aerospace, defense and security, life science, most of the important sectors related to trade. And we assist Ontario companies to increase export to those countries all across the world, to the Middle East, Africa, Euro-Asia, including Kazakhstan for sure, North America, South America, Europe, Asia, so all across the world, all over the world, and with different kind of services to Ontario companies. We do consulting services, B2B meeting with our companies. We participate usually in the biggest trade event across the world. We lead outbound delegation from Ontario to meet with the stakeholders, with other trade partners. We take pavilions in the most important trade event in the world, the most important sector trade events. We do consulting services, just like our goal, as I mentioned, to increase export and to increase bilateral trade with the Ontario company. Kazakhstan is one of the promising markets for Ontario companies in different sectors, mainly in the mining and renewable energy, in ICT, in life science, but we used to do trade events, or we used to participate in trade events related to mining and energy in Kazakhstan. Maybe next year when the pandemic is over, we hope to participate in person. Ontario bilateral trade with Kazakhstan stood at 300,000. It's shy amount, that's why, but it's a promising market. That's why we are looking to increase this amount, this trade balance between Kazakhstan and Ontario companies. Top Ontario export to Kazakhstan include mining, machinery, energy product and services, traditional energy, renewable energy, solar systems, wind power plant systems, nuclear energy. Also, we export to Kazakhstan some aerospace and defense product like helicopter machinery, good transport vehicle, iron, steel, pump for liquid, elevators, and machinery, like different kind of machinery. Most of our export, I noticed during the last 3-4 years, it was focused on industrial project. So we hope to increase this bilateral trade with Kazakhstan, and we are ready to assist Ontario companies to increase exports. Also, please feel free to contact me. Here is my contact details for business association in Kazakhstan, as well for companies in Kazakhstan. If you are looking, guys, for specific product or service from Ontario. Ontario is pioneer in different sectors in mining and renewable energy. It's also like they are pioneer in ICT, aerospace. Some sectors can work with or would be related to other sectors like ICT in general. It's used in mining project and renewable energy project, in addition to the main use of ICT, IT communication and telecommunications. Renewable energy nowadays is very linked to mining project. We usually participate in the biggest mining event all over the world. Nowadays, there is kind of renewable energy booth or renewable energy area in most of the mining trade events as well. Again, thank you for Canada, Kazakhstan Business Council, our partner, and thank you for companies in both Kazakhstan and Ontario.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kutsi. We actually had a question from the audience. It was addressed to the previous session, but I believe that maybe you can help us answer this one. So the question came from Murat Urakap, and he if Canada is going to launch its own sanctions against Russia, and if yes, will it affect the Kazakhstan market somehow?
I think this kind of question is related more to politics, like we are here on trade part, so it's related more to politics. And as I mentioned, like Ontario, like is a province in Canada, so we are not that engaged in the political relation. But for sure, like if we heard anything, I can address it to the Business Council, Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council, and maybe you can ask them. But for now, there is nothing in the scope.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are in the session of cooperation in energy section, I would like to switch to some more precise things in the oil and gas and renewable energy processing and new forms of partnerships part. So I would like to announce my keynote speakers in this section, and I would like all the speakers to turn on their cameras. We have Alma Zhukenova from the Ministry of Energy, from the Renewable Energy Department. We have Aliya Salimzhuarova from Kazakh Invest National Company. She's the head of renewable energy projects. Andrew Judson from Condor Petroleum Canada, Mario Karpan from the government of Alberta, and Laura Field, also from Canada, from Ontario, Ministry of Economic Development. But I would like to start with Alma Zhukenova, because as we all know, all types of big partnerships and fruitful cooperations, they cannot happen without government support. So Ministry of Energy plays a key role in Kazakhstan in this sector. So I would like to address Alma the first speech. Alma, please, you're welcome to present your short presentation. I would like to remind, we only have 5 minutes per each speaker.
Доброе время суток, уважаемые коллеги. Моя тема — возобновляемые источники энергии и поддержка возобновляемых источников энергии. Прежде всего, я хотела бы сказать, что в стране, наша страна очень богата энергоресурсами, тем не менее, было принято политическое решение о развитии возобновляемых источников энергии. В связи с этим в стратегических документах, основных стратегических документах, как концепция зеленой экономики, концепция, стратегический документ развития страны до 2025 года, до 2050 года были заложены и утверждены стратегические индикаторы. Следующий слайд можно? На следующем слайде показаны все эти наши стратегические индикаторы, которые были утверждены этими стратегическими документами. В связи с этим, для достижения этих стратегических индикаторов нужно было, чтобы мы разработать на законодательном уровне меры поддержки. Следующий слайд. На следующем слайде показано о том, что меры поддержки, они закреплены на законодательном уровне. На законодательном уровне у нас
В 2013 году был открыт расчетно-финансовый центр, который гарантированно скупает электроэнергию возобновляемых источников энергии. В течение 15 лет это гарантированная закупка идет. То есть для инвесторов сделано так, что 15 лет они могут продавать эту энергию гарантированно, ее скупает расчетно-финансовый центр. Есть индексация тарифов с учетом доллара и индексация. Бесплатная транспортировка электроэнергии ВИА. Есть и преференции в рамках предпринимательского кодекса, но я думаю, что о видах преференций, какие эти преференции есть, расскажет следующий спикер, который после меня будет, Салим Жуаров Алия. Следующий слайд. Благодаря мерам поддержки, которые были приняты на законодательном уровне, на сегодняшний день у нас 110 объектов общей суммарной мощностью 1528 мегаватт. В 2014 году это было всего лишь 26 объектов и суммарной мощностью 178 мегаватт. И к 2025 году мы думаем, что суммарная мощность всех объектов ВИА будет около 3000 мегаватт. Следующий слайд. С 2013 по 2018 год мы работали по фиксированным тарифам. Механизм фиксированных тарифов был принят на основании опыта. Мы переняли опыт Дании, Германии и Испании. И этот механизм фиксированных тарифов очень дал хорошие результаты, но в 2018 году было решено о том, что мы переходим на аукционные торги, то есть аукционный механизм. А аукционы были проведены в 2018 году, в 2019 году, они прошли успешно. Аукционные торги были на суммарную мощность 1021 мегаватт прошла. Участвовали 158 компаний из 12 стран. К сожалению, из Канады инвесторов не было, но мы надеемся, что в этом году будут, и что это всего лишь 2 года прошло с того момента, как были приняты механизмы аукционных торгов. Предельные аукционные цены ежегодно меняются. На правой стороне слайдов мы показываем предельные аукционные цены на 2020 год. Следующий слайд. И на следующем слайде мы показываем график аукционных торгов в этом году. 3 дня уже прошли, 3 аукционных торга 9, 10, 11 ноября уже прошли. И следующие аукционные торги 23, 24, 25 ноября будут. И 8-10 декабря это будут аукционные торги, которые, можно сказать, назвать проектные аукционы. То есть тут уже закладывается и земельный участок, и точка подключения. В 2019 году тоже был опыт проектных аукционов. И в этом году проектные аукционы, я думаю, что в дальнейшем за ними будущее. Следующий слайд. В этом году аукционные торги на 250 мегаватт. Доступ к аукционным торгам, то есть аукционные торги проходят в онлайн-режиме. Для того, чтобы получить доступ к аукционным торгам, необходимы учредительные документы для компании, копии технических условий и копии правоустанавливающих документов. Правоустанавливающих документов на земельный участок. Но это 2 последних документа, они необходимы для непроектного аукциона, то есть обычного аукциона, когда инвестор сам находит земельный участок и точку подключения. Если он участвует в проектном аукционе, этих 2 документов нет необходимости на них. Следующее – это финансовое обеспечение заявки. Мы требуем, чтобы инвестор сделал финансовое обеспечение, потому что мы бы хотели, чтобы проект был реализован, потому что от реализации проектов зависит достижение наших стратегических индикаторов. Требуется в дальнейшем следующее, это требуется договор с организатором аукционных торгов и регистрация на получение доступа в торговую сеть. Организатор аукционных торгов – это АО «КРМ», есть его сайт и есть это предприятие, это организация, которая проводит все эти аукционные торги. Следующий слайд. После того, как аукционы проходят, победители аукционных торгов, они обязаны предоставить финансовое обеспечение уже по условиям договора. То было финансовое обеспечение на аукционные торги, А потом, после того, как победитель, то есть инвестор побеждает в аукционных торгов, он обязан предоставить финансовое обеспечение и исполнение уже условий договора. Потом заключить договор с расчетно-финансовым центром в течение 60 дней, соблюсти. И в договоре основные два условия – это соблюсти начало строительства, сроки начала строительства и сроки реализации проекта. То есть уведомление о начале строительства и реализацию проекта. Реализация проекта, нам срок он тоже очень необходим, для нас он актуален, потому что от него зависит достижение стратегических показателей. И дальше, после того, как введен будет объект, победитель аукционных торгов должен обеспечить качественное прогнозирование и соблюдение графиков выработки электроэнергии. Ну, в течение 15 лет он будет вырабатывать электроэнергию и гарантированно ее продавать через расчетный финансовый центр. Следующий слайд.
Уважаемая, давайте технические детали немножко опустим, потому что у нас очень мало времени. Если бы вы могли перейти к резюме.
Вот этот слайд могу пропустить. Это в связи с пандемией мы сделали некоторые условия, чтобы как бы людям дали возможность на год продлить эти обязательства. На сегодняшний день по совершенствованию законодательства ведется работа, то есть финансовая поддержка расчетно-финансового центра и 15-летний PPI-контракт. Мы сейчас задумали о том, чтобы это будет 20-летний контракт на покупку электроэнергии. Для гидроэлектростанций некоторые смягчения сделали, потому что гидроэлектростанции маневренную мощность дают, поэтому для них было сделано так мягкие условия в аукционных торгах и увеличение срока реализации проекта гидроэлектростанции. Но у меня все. Спасибо.
Спасибо большое, госпожа Жукенова. Thank you very much for this presentation. I personally really liked the last slide about the amendments to the legislation being part of the Renewable Energy Association. I believe that these amendments will dramatically increase the flow of investments to foreign direct investments to our country. And talking about foreign direct investments, I would like to give the floor to Aliya Salimjoarova, who is the head of renewable energy projects in Kazakh Invest National Company. Aliya, please.
Thank you very much, Ruslan. Just let me start with my PPT. Just a second.
Aliya, I only ask you to try to make it very short.
I will try to do so.
Yeah, thank you.
First of all, dear ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be part of this important event. I'm Aliya Salimjoarova and I'm responsible for power sector at Kazakh Invest. In frames of my PPT, I would like to give a short overview about the sector that I'm in charge of. And to discuss the investment opportunities that exist in this sector today. The power system of the Republic of Kazakhstan traditionally divided on three parts. It's a northern, southern, and western zones. The total installed capacity of the as of 1st of January 2020 is 22.9 gigawatt, and available capacity is 19.3 gigawatt. In accordance with the data provided by the Kazakhstan Electricity Grid Operator Company, as 1st of January, energy production reached 106 billion kilowatt hours, while energy consumption was at the point 105 billion kilowatt hours. For the period of January-September 2020, generation of electricity reached 77 kilowatt hours and consumption 77.6 billion kilowatt hours. In 2019, the main demand for electricity in the Republic of Kazakhstan was covered by traditional thermal power plants. As you can see on the proposed slide, it's more than 80%. At the same time, the total generation of hydroelectric power station in the country accounted for more than 9%, and gas turbine power plants provided almost 9% of the total electricity generation. Starting from the January 2019, the capacity market was introduced in the Republic of Kazakhstan. According to the annual forecast
of power and capacity balance for 2020-2026, there is a significant electricity surplus in the northern zone, which covers the electricity shortages in the southern zone. It's a historical situation. And so what are the perspectives for further development of power station? First of all, as you may know, we have a significant depreciation of generation equipment of existing station. The average age of modernization power plants equipment in Kazakhstan at the end of 2019 was almost 33%. Over the previous 5 years, it has been increased for 3 years. So the second, which is quite important, is the development of the maneuver capacities to cover peak loads and the balancing of electricity supply. Currently, Ministry of Energy is at the stage of legislation amendment, and as soon as it would be approved, a gradual development of maneuverable capacity is expected. It should be mentioned that the auction bidding mechanism is also will be applied. Third is the development of the energy efficiency and energy saving programs. Thermal power plants have a very high consumption of electricity and heat for their own needs, which greatly affects the cost of electricity and heat today in our country. Sorry. Oh, okay. As Ms. Zhukenova already mentioned, we have a great capacity of renewable energy sources in Kazakhstan. Here you can see just some information about renewable energy sources. I could not bypass it because it's already very important part of power market today. And it should be also mentioned that 3% of renewable energy sources in total generation of the country, which is the first indicator for renewable energy sources development in accordance with the concept of transition to a green economy, is almost reached. It's already reached, and 2 more indicators ahead, which are suggested by the concept, should be met in 2025 and 2030. I would not deeply go into it because my colleague already mentioned important points. I would just perhaps mention that in the period from 2018 to 2019, more than 100 companies participate from 12 countries participated in the auction. And when we talk about incentives of participation in these renewable energy sources auctions, as Ms. Zhukenova already mentioned, that it's of course a long PPA agreement, it's of course priority dispatch and exemption from payment for services of electric companies, and which is also quite important, it's state support. Recently, renewable energy sources renewable energy sector was included in the list of priority activities of our country, which entitles companies implementing projects in the field of renewable energy to almost all types of preferences, including tax ones. In accordance with the legislation of the Republic of Kazakhstan, entities that are implementing investment projects in construction of renewable energy facilities can conclude investment contract for investment or investment priority project. The last one differs from the investment projects by the amount of investments that you can see on the proposed slide. So the conditions of state support measures depend on the type of investment projects. In frames of investment projects, an applicant can apply for exemption from custom duties on import and exemption from VAT on imports of raw materials, which is granted for a period of 5 consecutive years, starting from the first day of the month in which the fixed asset indicated in the program was commissioned. Second is a state-in-kind grant. It should be noted that the maximum amount of state-in-kind grant in accordance with the legislation should not exceed 30% of the investment volume in fixed assets. So under the investment priority contract, companies implementing projects in renewable energy sources are entitled to, as I said before, almost all types of preferences, except exemption from VAT on import. So the package of preferences provided includes exemption from custom duties, state-in-kind grants, corporate income tax, which is granted for a period of 10 years, land tax for a period of 10 years, and property tax for a period of 8 years. If we are talking about the expansion, not creation of a new production facility, but we are talking about expansion and updating of the production facilities or renovation, corporate income tax is granted for a period of 3 years. Also, I would like to note that a relatively new direction for our country is the disposal of solid household waste, or so-called waste-to-energy projects, with the generation of electricity. Currently, the legislative framework for the development of this mechanism is being formed. In turn, we are actively working to find international, like in parallel, to find international technologies which could be considered as acceptable for Kazakhstan for the implementation of waste-to-energy plans, and to select a reliable investment partner for these projects in this industry. The aim of the project is to construct up to 6 power energy plants in main cities as Nur-Sultan, Almaty, Shymkent, and other cities, Taras, Atyrau, and Aktobe, for municipal solid waste incineration with electricity generation. It is quite new project for the country and for the region as a whole. It's totally different concept of waste for us. So to ensure the investment attractiveness of the sector, the state is considering quite favorable amendments to the legislation, which is going to be applied by the end of this year. First of all, there will be also auction bidding mechanism, and there will be also long-term power purchase agreement. And the Ministry of Ecology is going to set quite high so-called green feed-in tariff value, and auction participant will submit bids based on their proposed tariffs. Just wanted to say that in collaboration with our respective colleagues, KAZAKH Invest worked to elaborate a package of documents, so-called financial models, scissors, for 3 quite big cities. It's Nur-Sultan, Almaty, and Shymkent. Here on the proposed slide, you can see just some information on these projects. On behalf of KAZAKH Invest and myself, I would like to say thank you very much for your attention, and of course I will be glad to hear your questions and comments afterwards. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alia. Thank you very much. And as Mr. Imjara mentioned, the waste to energy is something new to Kazakhstan, but something that could be very interesting for potential investors. But I would like to switch to our new keynote speaker, Andrew Judson. He's the lead director of Condor Petroleum, and he will tell us more about another sector in liquid natural gas business and the potential in Kazakhstan. Andrew, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon and good evening, I guess, respectively, depending on where you are. I have a few simple slides this afternoon that Vera was going to help me out with. So, Vera, if you wanted to put up that first slide. As I've been introduced, I'm Andrew Judson. I'm one of the directors with Condor Petroleum. Condor has a long and proud history of activity in Kazakhstan in the upstream oil and gas industry. And I thought I might just share some ideas on small-scale LNG and the opportunities it presents for Kazakhstan. Previously, LNG projects required massive facilities, enormous capital investment, and significant timeframes. But technology has moved quickly, and now we have the opportunity to look at small-scale LNG projects and how they might be put to use for a further utilization of the natural gas resources. So these facilities are becoming more widespread in Canada and have now been proven to be commercially viable. Small-scale LNG is particularly advantageous for remote Canadian communities, as well as for industrial activities such as mining and agriculture, which have traditionally been heavily dependent on diesel, both for power generation and the operation of transport fleets and heavy equipment. The successful implementation of small-scale LNG in Kazakhstan through the efficient use of the country's substantial natural gas resources would allow Kazakhstan to undertake fuel displacement with LNG, especially as it relates to needs in the transportation and power generation sectors of the economy, and to make further progress on emissions reduction. Small-scale LNG technology is readily available through Canadian engineering and manufacturing groups that are well known to Condor. The next slide, Vera, please. Natural gas liquefies to LNG at minus 162 degrees centigrade with relatively low corresponding pressures, around 100 psi for bulk transport tanks and even lower for fixed storage tanks. The cooling and liquefaction process shrinks the volume of gas 600 times, and afterwards the LNG is transported in specially designed ISO tanks, which are low pressure insulated cryogenic vessels that can be moved either by semi-trailer or rail. Standard ISO tanks hauled by tractor trailers in Canada have capacity to 45,000 liters. Larger tanks up to 110,000 liters can be utilized for rail transport. Once the ISO tanks reach their final destination, the LNG can be stored or immediately regasified into methane for fuel. LNG stored in standard ISO tanks has a shelf life of up to 90 days, depending on the ambient conditions. Recent advancements in cooling technologies have led to significant reductions in all of these costs. Next slide, please, Vera. Standard small-scale LNG liquefaction plants currently being constructed in Canada range from 25 tons per day, about 60,000 liters, up to 750 tons per day, about 1.8 million liters. In terms of inlet gas conversion volumes, 100,000 cubic meters of gas can be converted into approximately 160,000 liters of LNG. So for reference, 160,000 liters of LNG would be able to provide fuel for approximately 14 megawatts of power generation with standard equipment. For transportation applications, 1.7 liters of LNG is equal to about 1 liter of diesel in energy output. So, however, the LNG has a much lower specific gravity than diesel, weighing only 0.45 kilos per liter. In terms of capital costs, liquefaction facilities in Canada cost approximately $105 per liter per day to construct. Clearly, the total capital investments are directly proportional to the size of the plant facility. For example, a facility able to convert 1 million cubic meters of natural gas a day into LNG, about 1.7 million liters of LNG, would cost approximately $175 million to construct. Thereafter, further investments would be required to transport and store the LNG after it leaves the plant. For example, a standard 45,000 liter ISO tank, commonly used for road hauling, would cost approximately $150,000, and further costs incurred to install and fabricate the regas facilities needed at the point of usage, as well as conversion kits for the tractor or locomotive engines, or other equipment and machinery that must be converted. Maybe the next slide, please, Vera. If the LNG is supplied to an LNG power generation facility with a nameplate generating capacity of 14 megawatts of power, that facility would consume about 160,000 liters of LNG per day, as I said, and would require fabrication and installation of storage tanks, a minimum of a 5-day supply, and regasification machinery. This setup would cost around $12 million, but could supply energy to power more than 500 homes based upon North American power consumption stats. Not only would this energy source be much cleaner compared to diesel or coal-fired power generation options, but additional benefits would be infrastructure capital savings as a result of not needing to construct high voltage transmission lines or pipelines, as would be the case for natural gas. Next slide, please, Vera. When taking into account energy density and cost replacement coefficients, small-scale LNG is clearly superior to either diesel or propane as a fuel source. It can be seen in these ratios. Although the energy coefficient of LNG is actually slightly lower than that of diesel or propane, if you take into account the unit cost per GJ, the cost savings can be as much as 90% compared with diesel and propane. Next slide, please. So finally, implementing a small-scale LNG development strategy would create an opportunity for fuel displacement and at the same time create further jobs and value add for Kazakhstan's natural gas sector. Transport trucks, mining haul trucks, and buses are all converted to LNG as new engine technologies have evolved. LNG fuel powered also has recently expanded its footprint into large horsepower applications such as drilling rigs, remote generation, and even railroad locomotives. Perhaps the final slide, please, Vera. That very short introduction was simply meant to draw your attention to the opportunities that capturing some of Kazakhstan's natural gas resource and endowment and processed and transported and consumed as LNG is a real opportunity that we invite further consideration for. That's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, very much. We would like to go on. I would like to invite Mario Kurpan, Team Lead in Energy and Clean Technology, Government of Alberta. Mario, please.
Thank you very much, Ruslan. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone on the call. And thank you very much for this event, very well organized by the Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council and especially CERBA. First and foremost, I would like to just to remind you about the province of Alberta within Canadian and North American context of energy development. Just want to point out there that we in Alberta have a long history of the energy development, more than 100 years, as well as we are very fortunate to have tremendous resources in the ground, oil and gas and other minerals. So, for example, we have 4 million barrels per day around of the production, and about 60% of natural gas production in Canada. So lots of experience, lots of capacity, lots of companies that contribute to success of Alberta and Canada overall in energy development. So Ruslan, as you said, I am on the trade side. I'm a team lead for energy and clean tech, covering with my team Europe, Africa, Middle East, India, and Central Asia. And we are focusing promoting our businesses mostly in equipment, products, services, engineering, and as we will see later in education. So a couple words on our trade relations between Alberta and Kazakhstan. So as we speak, our total export 2019 average around $30 million. Main exports include gas turbines, mining equipment, tractors, and heavy load trucks. Kazakhstan is most important market in Central Asia, and that will remain, having in mind a very comparable industry and opportunities there is in Kazakhstan, having in mind openness and doing and good conditions doing business, and having in mind great geographical position that Kazakhstan has. Just testament of that vibrant trade relation between Alberta and Kazakhstan, I will point out to recent engagement. In May 2019, 15 Alberta companies participated in our ministry lead oil and gas trade mission to Kazakhstan. And in September 2018, 12 Alberta companies participated in also an oil and gas trade mission in Kazakhstan International Oil and Gas Exhibition. In addition to that, we have 60 Alberta companies participated in our ministry-led business mission to other areas that kind of in neighboring countries that kind of getting a foundation and the foundation from Kazakhstan. So overall, as I said, We are counting, on the Kazakhstan market. We will promote our businesses there, and we are seeing, Kazakhstan as an anchor in Central Asia, both, for our businesses working in Kazakhstan or working, from Kazakhstan, to different markets. So, and we have a history of engaging, our businesses, in Kazakhstan. So from the companies like Streamflow, Black Power Solution, Strong Structures, SAIT has provided training for Kazakhstan Oil and Gas Organization. So our involvement has been, for a decade, their presence, and will remain like that. Now, I just want to quickly focus on the current, more mature business engagement, which is conventional oil and gas, E&P, and opportunities there, and midstream and downstream business. So this is something that in our businesses right now playing, and we will definitely support that engagement in the future on a conventional oil and gas development, and also a monetization of those developments, including those, like the Kanat mentioned previous example on small scale LNG. On the power sector, we see opportunities on the natural gas monetization, using natural gas as a commodity for power. Renewables, we have a great experience in geothermal, hydro, and solar. Geothermal, especially having in mind that we have recovery methods here that seeks, for very heat, very high pressure recovery. So geothermal that we learned through oil and gas are now like very emerging, and very something that we uniquely can offer to the market. On the green development, this is very interesting, just because Kazakhstan needs and seeks to replace aging plants and equipment, and this is something that we can also help to KAZAKH, the National Transition Grid Operator, because we have companies in that segment that also could be involved in the revamping and rebuilding the grid. Now I just want to move to emerging opportunities. So emerging opportunities, what we can help and how we can promote our companies to be involved in development in Kazakhstan. It's on natural gas monetization, compressed natural gas, LNG on a small scale, water and wastewater management and energy development, EOR and energy efficiency on production side, so enhanced oil recovery. The next one is decarbonization on oil and gas value chain. I'm talking about carbon capture and storage, and capturing these fugitive emissions. Having in mind, for example, in 2015, the internal carbon markets was created in Kazakhstan, and significant potential for low carbon projects in methane emission reduction and energy savings will represent itself in the future. Also, we're very, very good, in the blue hydrogen, which will be very interesting in Kazakhstan for exporting that hydrogen to China and neighboring markets. So our companies are one of the best in the world when it's come to carbon storage, when it's come to operating and removing carbon and creating and producing hydrogen. So that's something, also that stakeholders should have in mind. Digital oil field, this is something that our company is already implementing, and that's something that also might be beneficial for oil and gas companies and energy companies in Kazakhstan, using artificial intelligence, digital system in place for energy development. Reclamation environment services, this is something that we offer, and lastly, capacity building. Education and energy, what SAIT is already doing, and I think the capacity building and working together on creating environment for education and cooperation in education is very important. So, what could be modus and engagement? We will promote our companies to provide classical fee for service and products. We also could just test some options on a pilot project, working with very large stakeholders on oil and gas and energy development in Kazakhstan on the long-term horizon. building a strategic partnership. CERBA can help us there. Federal government as well. We are working on the under the Canadian flag and working with the federal government on that. Working with Kazakhstan companies, like building partnerships, not only within Kazakhstan, but also expanding to the third other markets in surrounding areas. And don't forget about innovation and technology development, where our companies and innovation entities would be interested in to work with Kazakhs and our counterparts. So how to do all of this? That has to be discussed. This is the first, step, to exchange, our thoughts, representing. We will definitely aim to visit, Kazakhstan. But in the meantime, I'm really, hopeful that our counterparts from Kazakhstan reach out to us. Why? Because we will develop all this, other solutions and new emerging opportunities through need assessment, and this is something that I'm looking forward to working with all of us. So at the end, just the abundance of natural resources in Kazakhstan, in combination with Alberta cutting-edge technology and knowledge, provide ample opportunities for further our business relations. We are ready, able, and willing to help Kazakhstan and Kazakhstan to help us to further develop, that partnership. To develop partnership in natural resources, to help partnership, like that we can leverage through promoting our businesses, in energy development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Karpan. Thank you. Thank you for this offer and very detailed, very precise information. And your colleague from Ontario is waiting to give a short presentation on clean tech as well. So I would like to present Laura Field from the ministry, from also Clean Tech, Steel and Chemicals Industry and Sector Division, Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade of Ontario. If I'm not mistaken, Ontario is one of the most progressive provinces in Canada in clean tech. And Ms. Laura Field, can you please give us a short overview on the development in your region? But I really would like to ask you to be very short, given the fact that we're out of time already.
Sure. Thank you very much, and good morning and good afternoon to everyone on this call. It's been really interesting. I've learned a lot of things, so I hope everyone else has as well. And I hope to tell you a few things about renewable energy and Ontario's electricity system and the changes it goes through in a short 5 minutes. But feel free to contact me afterwards if you want to learn more. So Ontario, as Canada's largest province by population, also has a lot of companies working in the clean tech space, over 5,000 companies. We define clean tech very broadly to include many subsectors that include processes, products, or services that reduce environmental impacts through increased energy and resource efficiency. The sector is currently active with lots of interest in making batteries here, as the Ford Motor Company recently announced that they will manufacture electric vehicles here. So there's a growing energy storage sector and a lot of activity in the hydrogen space as well, as the Canadian government is currently working on a strategy to grow hydrogen activity in Ontario. And also lots of opportunity in the waste sector in Ontario, including making bioenergy, or what we call renewable natural gas, from our food waste. And renewable energy is one of the subsectors where Ontario has developed leadership over the past 10 years. In late 2018, our provincial government published a plan that will help the province meet its climate goals, including GHG reduction and climate change, but also other areas of the environment, such as reducing waste and litter, and managing our water, our abundance of water. The plan contributes to the federal government's climate goals. We work very closely with the Canadian federal government on their initiatives. The plan also creates economic opportunities for global and local clean tech companies to address the actions identified in the plan. Ontario's electricity system has undergone massive changes in the past 15 years. We phased out all of our coal plants. This was completed in 2014 and was one of North America's largest climate change initiatives, equal to taking 7 million cars off the road. In 2003, coal represented approximately 25% of Ontario's supply mix. And we replaced this coal generation with gas, hydro, biomass, and wind and solar. Most of our solar is connected to our distribution grid. So these are smaller scale projects such as rooftop, where we have over 2 gigawatts of solar. These are just some of the companies in our renewable energy ecosystem, and I focused on solar here because I know that's of interest to Kazakhstan. Our renewable energy industry was really created to meet the provincial demand and the request for renewable energy projects. When we were phasing out coal and wanted to promote renewables, we had a feed-in tariff program that encouraged the industry to develop here. We no longer have these incentives because we currently have enough electricity. And these incentives have been replaced by net metering, which is still an incentive as well. However, as a result of these feed-in tariffs, Ontario is proudly home to solar panel manufacturers and other companies that are creating innovative solar products. There are also many project developers here that work globally to install utility scale solar farms nowadays with energy storage to optimize energy generation. We're also home to many leading researchers that are very interested in global collaboration. And there's also opportunities to demonstrate new technologies in Ontario with our electric utilities. But to really get to know all of the players in our ecosystem, as only some of these players are shown here, I recommend you connect with our industry association and their members. In addition, Mars Clean Tech is an incubator for our innovative technology companies. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm happy to connect with you at a later time for further discussion. Thank you.
Ms. Field, thank you very much for this short presentation. I think you were the only one who did it in 5 minutes, but still, I would like to thank the organizers for giving us additional 10-15 minutes to continue with our Q&A session. And we have 3 panelists who are waiting to comment to make some comments on the previously made statements. And we have Baltabek Kuanbekov, who is the president of Kazakhstan Society of Petroleum Geologists. We have Durzhan Esenov from KAZAKH, National Power Grid. And Mr. Karpan has given a very interesting offer and proposal of rebuilding the old grids. So there could be a potential cooperation here. And we also have Zhanis Dusanov, who is Director of Development and Planning Department from the Financial Settlement Center, that is actually responsible and in charge of support of renewable energy. And gentlemen, I would like to ask you if you have any comments on any above statements and would like to ask any questions to our speakers. Maybe Mr. Kondikov, do you have anything to add?
Я вот добрый день, уважаемые коллеги. Я хотел буквально несколько слов сказать о новых проектах в Казахстане. Я, к сожалению, опоздал к началу, так сказать, от сегодняшней сессии, и я не знаю, что сказал вице-министр господин Бrekeshev, который занимается вопросами геологоразведки в Казахстане, а также, значит, Anvar Boranbayev, это генеральный директор национальной компании KazGeology. Я опоздал к началу. Но вот все остальные выступления послушал, на самом деле уже было высказано такое мнение, что в казахстанском нефтегазовом, так сказать, секторе очень мало канадских, так сказать, компаний. Поэтому вот есть интересно, несмотря на вот это действие коронавируса, несмотря, так сказать, низкие цены нефти, Казахстан дальше продвигает несколько интересных проектов, которые начнутся буквально вот с следующего года. Первый проект — это изучение глубоких горизонтов при Каспийской впадине. Это основная нефтегазоносная зона Казахстана, где на сегодняшний день добывается практически 80% добычи нефти Казахстана. Там будет так называемый проект Евразия. Многие, может быть, и слышали об этом проекте. Проект нацелен на изучение глубоких горизонтов, которые находятся на глубине 8, 9, 10 и более, так сказать, километров при Каспийской впадине. Здесь осадочный комплекс, так сказать, залегает общая мощность до 20-25 километров. Этот проект вот буквально Казахстан, правительство Казахстана, значит, чтобы заинтересовать всех, начал через государственный бюджет, так сказать, финансировать первую фазу этого проекта. Это начнется в следующем году. Второй проект — это также очень интересный. В Казахстане имеется 15 нефтегазоносных, так сказать, бассейнов. Из них вот основная добыча нефти осуществляется в 5 из них. А остальные относятся к категории малоизученных, так сказать, бассейнов. И вот начиная с следующего года Казахстан планирует привлечь, так сказать, инвестиции для регионального изучения вот некоторых из этих малоизученных бассейнов, которые располагаются непосредственно не очень, так сказать, далеко от уже известных, так сказать, бассейнов Казахстана. Это Северо-Тургайский, который находится вот в Кызылординской, Актюбинской, Кустанайской областях. Это район Аральского моря, Аральский бассейн. Там, как вы знаете, много, так сказать, территорий было сейчас уже суша. Поэтому есть интересные, так сказать, результаты узбекской части, и мы хотим продолжить эту работу там. Есть Сырдаринский, так сказать, бассейн, это южнее, так сказать, Арала, это на границе с Узбекистаном, где имеется очень много, так сказать, газоконденсатных месторождений. И есть, так сказать, бассейн Чусарысу, который также находится вот на территории Южно-Казахстанской области, Жамбульской области, то есть на Южном Казахстане. Мы хотели, так сказать, пригласить канадских, так сказать, компаний, если они заинтересованы в этих больших, так сказать, региональных работах в Казахстане, которые даст определенные льготы и преференции участникам, так сказать, этих проектов. Из выступлений мне понравилось вот относительно малотоннажных СПГ. Это очень интересно. Если это возможно, я хотел получить, так сказать, более подробную информацию, значит, об этих, потому что в Казахстане много малых, средних, так сказать, газовых месторождений, либо, допустим, эти газы не обязательно свободные, они можно их использовать. Они расположены далеко, так сказать, от транспортных сетей, то есть газопроводов и других транспортных сетей. Можно было бы их вот посмотреть, что предлагает вот канадская, так сказать, компания. По-моему, это Кондор или там другая компания.
Да, спасибо, господин Кондыков. Мы попросим
получить эту информацию. Спасибо.
Спасибо большое. Mr. Andrew Justin, well, I think you have a potential client here and partner, so we would appreciate if you share your presentation with Mr. Koandikov, and the organizers will help us spread the presentations among the participants. But I also would like to address a word to Nurjan Esenov, who has also received a proposal of potential cooperation from Mr. Mario Karpan. Господин Исенов, вы с нами? Вы можете прокомментировать предложение господина Карпана? Или, может быть, что-то другое хотите добавить?
Здравствуйте. Да, я Нуржан Исенов, я представляю компанию KAZAKH. Это казахстанская компания по управлению электрическими сетями, которая является системным оператором энергосистемы Казахстана. И, знаете, вопрос канадской стороны, не знаю, кто из представителей канадской стороны сможет ответить, может, на этот вопрос, но вопрос такой. Вот я посмотрел в интернете общую такую информацию по электроэнергетической системе Канады, по структуре генерации. И вижу, что там значительная доля, там около 60% это гидроэнергетика, есть также значительная доля атомной энергетики, и в том числе есть доля возобновляемых источников энергии, насколько я понимаю, это ветроэнергетика, поскольку для солнца, наверное, в Канаде вряд ли есть условия. То есть около 7-8% в структуре генерации в энергосистеме Канады составляет ветровая энергетика. И для любого системного оператора вообще возобновляемая энергетика – это некоторая такая проблема, потому что это нестабильный источник энергии. Мы сейчас в Казахстане развиваем возобновляемую энергетику, и большое внимание этому уделяется, и мы сталкиваемся с некоторыми проблемами, да, такими объективными проблемами в развитии возобновляемой энергетики, потому что необходимо обеспечивать стабильность энергосистемы, развивая возобновляемую энергетику. И вот в Канаде, каковы планы в Канаде по развитию ветровой энергетики? Есть ли какая-то государственная программа развития возобновляемой энергетики? Планируется ли в дальнейшем увеличивать эту долю? Либо, может быть, есть решение о том, что как-то будет ограничена эта доля, будет достигнута некоторая оптимальная величина, и дальше развивать уже не планируется. Вот если можно, такой вопрос. Спасибо.
Ms. Field or Mr. Kerpand, would you like to answer that? About the potential of wind energy and any state or special programs for the investors and for partners in this sector?
Yeah, sorry, Ruslan, you asking me or?
It's either you or Laura Field, whoever has an answer to this question.
Okay. So we are, pretty much those incentives are on a federal, but also on a provincial level. So I just want to understand to the audience, Kazakhstan, we are very autonomous, when it's come to energy development on a provincial level, because on a provincial level, energy development is managed by the provinces. Federal government has some, saying in different aspects of energy development, but in this context, Alberta government introduced programs, for developing renewable capacity. And it's very interesting, for Kazakhstan, because, we are replacing coal by natural gas and renewables. So as we know, there's a heavy reliance on coal as the base load in Kazakhstan. The same applies to Alberta because we have lots of coal. For the reasons of changing, business environment and sources of power, we are replacing coal with a natural gas and using that as a base load and adding capacity in renewables, mostly in the wind and solar. We don't have much hydro capacity. This is more Quebec. But what we are doing, as I said, explaining, and this is something also that our companies can be involved in that expertise of retooling the equipment and sites going from the using coal to the natural gas. And that's, contributing also to natural gas monetization and enhancing exploration and production operation in Kazakhstan. So that's the reason why Alberta can offer a lot, because there's a lots of similarities between Alberta and Kazakhstan on just basic exploration production, on monetization, on natural gas and oil through processing, refining, and distributing, and also on developing renewables and how this will look like in overall system. This is very important. How this kind of holistically will fit, in the system of energy, energy system, and become more efficient, more digitalization prone and based.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dusenov, we have We have really like 2 minutes left to finalize the session, but I would like to ask you a question. So being the Director of Development and Planning Department of the Financial Settlement Center, how would you describe how attractive is the renewable energy sector in Kazakhstan right now? How did it change with the auctions?
Добрый день, уважаемые участники. Меня зовут Zhandos. Я представляю расчетно-финансовый центр, компанию, которая обеспечивает возвратность всех вложенных инвесторами средств посредством заключения PPA-контрактов. Ну, касательно вашего вопроса о привлекательности сектора, я бы хотел в некоторых цифрах обозначить те достижения, которые уже есть и к чему мы идем. На сегодняшний день наша компания заключила более 100 контрактов с инвесторами. Это 100 новых электростанций возобновляемых источников энергии уже осуществляются к строительству. Из них 70 уже станций построено, они реально функционируют и производят электрическую энергию. То есть достаточно большое доверие инвесторов к данным механизмам поддержки. Если оценивать это в киловатт-часах, то порядка 3% или 3 миллиардов киловатт-часов в Казахстане уже вырабатывается из зеленой энергии. И в денежном эквиваленте это больше 200 миллионов долларов в год наша компания оплачивает, то есть возвращает инвестиции. Это о текущей ситуации. Что касается перспектив развития возобновляемых источников энергии, то, как показывают аукционы, которые ежегодно проводятся, инвесторы очень активно приходят в страну, очень активно участвуют в аукционах, реализуются как технологии солнца и ветра, так и проекты по строительству малой гидроэнергетики. То есть достаточно хорошие условия созданы государством, они привлекательны, и система работает. Мы приглашаем наших партнеров с Канады принимать участие, участвовать в нашем механизме поддержки возобновляемых источников энергии. Постарался так ответить на ваш вопрос, Руслан.
Спасибо. Отлично ответили. Я хочу от себя добавить, что даже крупные игроки в нефтяном секторе участвуют в этих аукционах и развивают ВИА. А график проведения аукционов указан, по-моему, на вашем сайте. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to finalize and summarize our session. It was quite tight, but very informative. And as Ms. Laurafield mentioned, many of us may have learned a lot of information here. And this couldn't have happened if there was no help of the Canada-Eurasia Business Association and all our partners. So I would like to give the floor to Norman Storm, General Director of Falcon Oil and Gas and the Kazakhstan Board Chair of the Canada-Eurasia Business Association. I would like to thank him for helping us organizing this event. Mr. Storm.
Thank you, Ruslan. It's much appreciated. And I think everybody can agree that this was a very good event. The discussions that we had obviously need a lot of follow-up. But what I was hearing is there's a lot of potentials for cooperation here. I think this event has been recorded and will be made available. I think it would actually be good for people to review it again and go through it again and see specific points. And of course, we're all ready and standing by to provide contacts, because I think this is obviously the first step of a networking situation, and I think there's enough common interests here that hopefully we'll get some solid business done as a result of this KCBC conference today. Zhandos, would you like to say anything else?
Sure. Dear participants, I would like to express my deep gratitude to the speakers and panelists who have contributed to their valuable data and opinions. And today's discussion and attendance of more than 100 participants vividly illustrates high mutual interest between our countries. all materials of this session, I would like to remind you, will be formed into a special report to benefit business communities of Kazakhstan and Canada. We are sure that cooperation in such sectors as mining, energy, and many others will flourish and create many joint projects between Kazakhstan and Canada. And hopefully next time we will be meeting offline in person in Canada. So thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye.